So today we're going to be looking at Juz 20, so make sure to read this Juz. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. So this Juz begins with verse 56 of Surah Al-Naml and ends at verse 45 of Surah Al-Kabut, the spider. In between we have Surah Al-Qasas, the story. The stories of the prophets continue to flow through this Juz as a core theme, but the focus actually shifts to the tests of life and how we should deal with them. Surah An-Naml focuses on the beautiful story of Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam and his dawah to the people of Sheba. A primary lesson we can extract from this story is the importance of gratitude during times of ease. When Sulaiman alayhi salam was granted blessings and victory, he always responded with gratitude. And it is mentioned in verse 19 of chapter 27, where he smiled and laughed at her words and said, "My Lord, direct me to be thankful for the blessings you have bestowed upon me and upon my parents, and do good works that please you, and admit me by your grace into the company of your virtuous servants." Verse 59 to 66 are the beautiful passage about the majesty of Allah. So make sure to take some time to actually recite these verses, like you're going to be reading this juz today, inshallah, and ensure that you do read this juz and keep up to date with keep reading a juz a day during the blessed month of Ramadan. Read the translations and reflect on its meanings. Say praise Allah and peace be upon his servants whom he has selected. Is Allah better or what they associate with him, or who created the heavens and the earth and rains down water from the sky for you? With it we produce gardens full of beauty whose trees you could not have produced. Is there another God with Allah? But there are a people who equate others with him, or who made the earth habitable and made the rivers flow through it and set mountains on it and placed a partition between the two seas. Is there another God with Allah? But most of them do not know. Or who answers the one in need when he prays to him and relieves adversity and makes you successors on earth? Is there another God with Allah? How little you pay attention. Or who guides you through the darkness of land and sea, and who sends the winds as heralds of his mercy? Is there another God with Allah? Most exalted is Allah above what they associate. Or who originates the creation and then repeats it, and who gives it livelihood from the sky and the earth? Is there another God with Allah? Say, produce your evidence if you are truthful. Say, no one in the heavens or on the earth knows the future except Allah, and they do not perceive when they have been resurrected. In fact, the knowledge of the hereafter is confused. In fact, they are in doubt about it. In fact, they are blind to it. What I've just read is verses 59 to 66 of chapter 27. So in verse 89, Allah says, whoever brings a virtue will receive better than it, and they will be saved or safe from the horrors of that day. So this verse relates to the story of Prophet Musa alayhi salam, who will be safe from the horrors of the last day due to his righteousness. The previous surahs begin and ended with descriptions of the horrors of the last day. This surah shows us how to protect ourselves on that day. Surah Al-Qasas focuses on the story of Prophet Musa. This story shows us the power and decree of Allah. Musa, as a helpless baby in the water, is protected by Allah. Pharaoh, with all his wealth and power, is drowned by water too. This shows us that whoever Allah wishes to protect, nobody can harm, and Allah is in control of everything. So verse 5 of chapter 28, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "But we desired to favour those who were oppressed in the land, and to make them leaders, and to make them the inheritors." So Surah Al-Qasas gives us the example of Pharaoh, who had a false sense of security in his own power. Haman, which was a high-ranking official who had a false sense of security in Pharaoh's power, and Qarun, who had a false sense of security in his wealth. All three lost everything overnight. Surah Al-Ankabut, the spider, at the end of this juz gives us the perfect parable of this false sense of security the spider web. So the verse is verse 41 of chapter 29. The likeness of those who take to themselves protectors other than Allah is that of the spider. It builds a house, but most fragile of houses is the spider's house, if they only knew. So I'm going to leave you here for your manillah, and hopefully you can even ponder over this verse and the verses that I've been saying to you, and read the Arabic version and really ponder and contemplate over these verses and see not that whilst it may apply to these individuals, we need to reflect upon our lives. So sallallahu wa baraka ala nabiyina Muhammad, astaghfirullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.